All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Made it to the end of the work week. Our nice stretch of comfortable mornings that we've been talking about for like a week now has officially started. So let me show you the low temperatures this morning from the LCRA Hydromet and look at some of these numbers across the hill country. I see a 53, a 54. Is there anything cooler than 53 on here? I'm not seeing it right now, but even some 50s that made it into the metro and the I-35 corridor and in town for Mabry, it looks like the low was like 63, 64. So feeling very comfortable this morning, and that's going to be the trend for really the foreseeable future. Mornings are going to stay very nice, but afternoons are still going to be pretty warm, and that will take us to our forecast for this afternoon. Some upper 80s, but I think mainly low 90s and maybe even a few mid 90s across central Texas today. So Austin will go up to like 92, 93. Obviously, it will be mostly sunny sky and no chance for rain. And, as we've been talking about, just get ready for this weather pattern because it is not changing anytime soon. So, look at this. This is pretty remarkably consistent here. So through this weekend, into the first half of next week, like basically zero changes, maybe a little fluctuation in the afternoons, but the mornings are all going to be in the 50s and 60s. By, the end of the work week next week into next weekend, maybe humidity starts to build back up a little bit, and that could boost our morning lows a little bit, and also the afternoons could get a little bit warmer. But again, this is mainly going to be a quiet forecast, and look at this. So the national blend of models will go out for the next 10 days showing zero rain, and I agree with that. In fact, I think we're going to make it more than 10 days without any additional measurable rainfall. We'll talk more about that in a second, but I want to show you the low temperatures for tonight into Saturday morning. Again, it's going to be very similar to today. Here's the data off the HRRR model, taking Austin into like 64. I need to see what we end up with the official load this morning. I think the models, especially this morning, maybe were not quite cool enough, and I had a hunch that's not atypical for this type of setup. So honestly, take these numbers and maybe subtract a degree or two, and that's probably what we'll have in the forecast for tonight. As I mentioned, rain is going to be hard to find. Here's the in-house data from the Weather Prediction Center. Nothing. And this would take us through the morning of Friday, October 3rd. And I think it's likely we make it well beyond that without any measurable rain. Now, if you missed our video yesterday, we talked some about this drought monitor with the expansion. Austin points east basically of this moderate drought, and then we've got this little sliver here of severe drought, and then obviously across the hill country where there was a lot more rain back in July with the summer flooding that we had, again, some of these areas had like 20 to 30 inches of rain, and already abnormally dry conditions are returning. And as we go into October, we talked about this yesterday, we expect October to be a wetter month for us, and if it underperforms, that's a situation where this drought could rapidly worsen across our area. So 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook. I already told you 7 to 10 days dry. This could take us through 14 days, 2 weeks. So that would be October 9th, potentially with no rain. So we're on an 18-day streak without rain right now, and I'll let you guys do the math. I think that easily could stretch up to 30 or maybe even above as we're being favored with drier than normal conditions. 8 to 14 day temperature probability, same time frame, October 3rd through October 9th. Pretty high likelihood here of warmer than average conditions. So again, our local forecast is pretty quiet. Don't want to do like a super in-depth tropical update, but I'll just kind of give you the gist of what's going on. We now have Hurricane Humberto, which is developed over the Atlantic. Gabrielle's post-tropical moving away. And then this one, 94L, which is going to trek over the Bahamas and close to the Carolinas. That's going to be one to watch. So first here with Hurricane Humberto, this is still expected to become a major hurricane. And the center of this is going to stay off the East Coast. So direct impacts from Humberto are not really the concern. It's what will it do to that other system, 94L. So here are the spaghetti tracks from 94L. And there's kind of two camps here, and it depends on the speed and if it gets caught up with some interaction with Humberto. So you can see some of these models take this north and then bend it west into the Carolinas. Obviously, that would bring potentially direct hurricane or tropical impacts into the Carolinas. Some of these, though, that are a little farther east or a little slower show that this actually gets kind of influenced by Humberto. It gets pulled back east away from the coastline. So I know we're only a couple days away from potential tropical impacts here, but this is still a pretty murky forecast. Just to show you the European model guidance. So with all the ensemble members here, so the control bends this west into the Carolinas, but you can see a lot of these members now. In fact, the ensemble mean show this north, 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 then gets caught in Umberto and turns out to sea. So it's a very tricky forecast. If you are watching for the Carolinas and you need more in-depth stuff, I'm not trying to do that here, so please don't make any decisions off of what I just said, but I'm just, for folks here in Texas who are just interested in the weather, just trying to give you a baseline there. Okay, back to our local forecast. The raw data off the European model. Again, don't plan on anything changing anytime soon. Morning 60s for a while, and then once we increase the humidity, maybe a little bit warmer than that by the end of next week into next weekend. And afternoon highs may get a little bit warmer at some point, maybe up closer to the mid-90s. Here's the GFS model, and it's trying to show some 100s as we get into like October 9th and beyond. I think probably premature to say anything about that, but just to show you the strong model consensus is for this warm, mainly dry pattern to continue for a while. And as we always do, I'll leave you with the national blend of models here. I think this gives us a pretty realistic look where mornings will be nice. In Austin, the next few will probably be more so low to mid 60s rather than mid to upper 60s as this model is showing. But then as we get into next week and humidity increases a little bit, maybe our mornings get just a little bit less comfortable and afternoons could get a little bit hotter, especially around Thursday of next week. So that's it. No rain, comfortable mornings for a while. That's the highlight. And afternoons are going to be sunny and still pretty warm. Let's see. It is Friday. It's Friday, right? Yes. Friday, September 26th. So no weekend updates since the forecast is quiet, but I'll see you guys back with another detailed forecast video for Monday morning. Have a good one. I'll talk to you all later.